Oh, are we live? Hello, hello. I hope everybody can hear me. Hope everybody's doing all right. All right. So let's get to work. If you remember correctly, in my last stream, at the end of last Sunday's stream, I I said that we would probably start the city builder prototype this uh, on this stream, and technically we kind of will, but I know that Red Herring wanted to see how we can possibly make a what's it called, a grid based um, like like a grid based system, right? So for those of you who don't know, hold on, let's say grid based I don't know, tower defense. Okay, let's see. Okay, there you go. That's a perfect image, actually. Hold on. Yeah, it's not the best quality image, but I think it's clear enough, right? Like you have a grid, and you can only place things at a certain grid, and so on, right? Because right now, the way our game is done is that yes, our towers can't necessarily overlap with one another, right? So hold on, like that, like that, right? I can't necessarily overlap them, right? But because it's not a grid system, like they're not like perfectly centered around not centered, oh Jesus, yeah, they're not perfectly how can I say, like parallel with one another, and so on and so forth. Yes, yes, Silverstone, that means I'm a liar. It's false advertisement. All right, so hold on. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is today I'm gonna show you the way I would go about doing a grid, right? Um, and since we already have the tower defense prototype, hello Red Herring, hope you're doing well. So as I was saying, right, I'm gonna do the grid system, a grid mechanic that I'm eventually going to use for the what's it called, for the um, I'm gonna use it for the city builder, but uh, since we already have the tower defense prototype, I thought to myself, well, you know what? I might as well show, because I've already shown how to do a tower defense game without using a grid system, right? One that's a bit more loose with how you place your towers and stuff like that, right? Um, Now I'm going to transform this into a grid-based tower defense, and then we're going to transition into a grid-based city builder, I guess, right? So, without further ado, as people like to say, let's get started. So let's do tower defense here, right? And now the way I was thinking of doing the grid system, okay, is um, by modifying the raycast manager, right? But before modifying it, I think I'm going to create a like a grid object script or something, right? So let's name this grid td so grid, what would be the name for it? Because it's not the grid manager, right? Because this is basically a single grid, not component, but a Randy the Gridler. uh, what's a good chat? Help me out. Like, what's a good word for a single piece of a grid, right? So not like the grid manager itself, not like a script that's going to manage every single. Because I know how to say it in French. I forgot how to say it in English. Um, the like you know how on your keyboard you have, yeah, well, like, yes, but that's the thing, it's not necessarily sector or square, because you can have a hex grid, right? So that's why, like, just calling it a square isn't it, although in my case it's going to be a square, but the script I'm going to create is, oh, tile, yes, thank you, Jesus, grid tile td, there you go, it's tile is the word I was looking for. Thank you. No, mamma mia. So, what I'm gonna do here is, to make it simple, for now, I'm not sure exactly which variables I will add. Hold on. Okay, so let me, because for all of my streams, I don't make concrete plans of like, okay, this is exactly how I'm gonna do it, and like I don't necessarily practice in advance, right? It's more so me just going off the cuff and just doing stuff like on the fly, but at the same time it's based on, like, how can I say, on my knowledge of in general how to do things, right? So I know, like, oh, well, I can use this function, or I can make a function that looks like this, or I've done, like, a couple years ago, a prototype that almost did the same thing, so I can take inspiration from that, right? But I don't, like, have a concrete plan, right? I just have a general idea, and then when I get here, I do the more concrete plan live, kind of to show you guys how, at least how my creative process is, so that hopefully it can help you and inspire you with regards to like the designing mechanics for your own games, right? So the idea, the logic that I have, right? Let's open up Paint, my favorite tool. Okay, it's going to be, let's say, let's make it blue like that. Okay, all right, and then let's just hold on. There you go. And then let's say like that, and then another one here. Sure, right? And then, or actually, I guess I can just do it like that, right? Again, the art of complicating one's life is my area of expertise. So let's say that this is going to be our makeshift grid, right? Like that. Let's just make it proper. Like that. There you go. So let's say, how long are you going to stream? Because might call you to get your opinion on something on my stream. Usually my streams are about 2.5 hours. Sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. It depends. But let me know. I mean, I could take your call live on one of my on this stream. Although, well, yeah. Although the point of the stream is to do this, so I don't know. But usually 2.5 hours, game sense. So anyways, so what I was saying is the idea, right, is, let's say, here we have the grid, right? I know it's a very basic grid, but that's kind of the point, right? Okay, well, then, sure. Then you can call me when you're ready, right? Like, you're looking at my stream, so just like Like if I'm in the middle of doing something, I'm gonna finish doing what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna take your call. Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so let's say uh, before, the way we designed it is that, let's say we have one of our red towers, right? And then we have one of our green towers. Well, as long as they're like overlapping, we can't, like it's not gonna let us drop it, right? But then even if I were to try to like uh, put them next to each other, it's always gonna end up being like that, let's say, right? Like slightly offset no matter how hard I try, right? So the idea here is to make it so that because we already have an existing prototype, right? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, hold on. Okay, there you go. So the idea is we already have placement areas, right? So now basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep the placement areas here. This is the logic I kind of came up with as a rough draft in my head, right? But now I'm gonna make the plan more concrete, right? So the idea is we take the placement areas that we have, right? Which is, oh no, we don't have a placement area manager, but we do have like the placement area tag, the layer placement, etc., right? So now the idea is we're gonna take all of our placement areas and we're gonna shrink them to work as a basically as a tile, right? So now instead of having like one big placement area, and same thing with this one here, right? The way I'm gonna design it is that it's going to prevent us, because hold on, because let me show you real quick before it gives us a game over screen. Hold on. It's right now I can place like units like that, right? Units, towers, I mean. But I can also place them like that, you see? Like vertically and stuff like that, right? Well, with the grid placement, that won't be possible anymore. Or it's not, it technically, it could be possible, but I would have to add a secondary mechanic to the grid mechanic, right? Now, hold on. The way I'm going to do it is that I'm going to transform, let's say, this grid here, right? I'm going to transform it into several smaller ones, right? Smaller tiles, placement tiles, or whatever we're going to call them. And then I'm going to create a script which is going to measure the distance between each tile, right? Like that, right? And basically, any, let's say, any tile that is within, let's say, a certain distance, let's say like that, right? Any tile that is within a certain distance, let's say that's the distance, right? Any tile that is within a certain distance of another, it's going to detect it and like add it to a list of adjacent tiles, right? And any tile that is further than that distance, right? Meaning all of these are not going to be adjacent, right? And the reason why I'm going to create this is to have an adjacency bonus mechanic, right? Meaning that if we have a like we place one of our towers here, right? It's going to be able to interact with this, with this, with this, with this, exact, etc. Like pretend that I have more tiles here, right? And this one here, but it's not going to be able to interact with these two because they're too far away, right? They're not adjacent, basically. And so the idea in order to do this is, as I said, first we're going to to create a well, how can I say? First, actually, what should I start with? I guess before doing the adjacency mechanic, first I need to transform the placement area into a grid tile, right? Okay, So let's do this. So the way I'm going to do this is by going inside the, what's it called? The Raycast manager, right? And if you remember correctly, the way we've coded it right now is that the moment it detects a mouse coordinate placement, right? It's going to, hold on, this player manager to describe about, yeah. So it's going to move our current placement area object, right? Or rather the no, okay, exactly. Sorry. I'm having a brain fart because once again I'm thinking about 8 different things at the same time. Okay, so let's rephrase everything. So in order to transform our placement areas into placement tiles and to create a grid, right? A grid of different tiles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to modify our placement raycast in order to right now the way it works is it detects the placement area object, and then it moves the placement indicator object, which is hold on, game manager, player manager. Oh yeah, so placement indicator, right? Which is this sphere here, right? This transparent sphere. It moves it around. Now the thing is, we don't see it that well because, hold on. So you see here, we see the cubes, but hold on. But we have difficulty seeing the sphere because it's very far away. If we get closer, we can see the sphere inside of the cube, right? Because the way I've coded it right now is that they're both basically moving at the same position, right? But what I'm gonna end up doing is making it so that I'm not gonna touch the sphere code, right? I'm not going to touch this line of code. It's still going to be placed at the exact spot where the mouse is pointing, right? For the raycast. But then the actual tower placement visual is going to be to only ever move at the center of the tile, right? To show the visual of like where the center of the tower is going to be, right? So let me just expand a little. Not expand a little, but I mean spawner. It's not spawner manager. It's player manager TD, I think. Yeah, I can play star. Okay. So all of these are still working fine, right? So now what I'm gonna do is let's find the code inside the player manager TD. No, this is for the camera movement, tower placement manager. First, go through the placement towers list and activate/deactivate all relevant tower placement. Okay, yes. So those are for the visuals. And then, okay, and then here, so hold on. So let's just write this. Then move said tower placement object to the position that will be occupied by its tower. Okay, perfect. So now this line here, right? This line here, what it says is we go through the towers placement prefabs list, right? We grab the current tower ID, which is the one we need or whatever, right? We move its position and we make it move to the same position as the placement indicator, right? Now, instead, what I'm gonna do here, okay, so let's say this is the old line of code, right? Well, actually, before graying it out, so what I'm gonna do is vector3, we're gonna call it tower placement position v3 equals vector3, Okay, and now we're gonna do, hold on, we're gonna copy paste, oh, fuck's sake. And copy paste this line here, and then we're gonna do dot x, this line here dot y, and then the same line here dot z. Okay. Now this is a fucking huge line because of how zoomed in we are, right? Like if I were to zoom out, this is what it would look like. It would still like go outside of the screen, right? Hold on. There you go, right? But instead, hold on. There you go. Instead, to make it more like easier to see, we're gonna do this like that. There you go. See? So now no issues, no worries, right? And so now the idea is position equals, there you go, right? Okay, hold on. So now let me just copy paste this here. Okay. Okay. Now let's turn off, this is the original line of code, right? And now let's replace this, right, with this. And first let's just test out to see if it works properly, right? So now right now what I did is like visually nothing's going to change, right? But I'm still testing it just to see if it works, right? So my god, brothers, how is you doing? Hello Zeno, hope you're doing well. Okay, so now let's see. In theory, nothing should change. Yeah, there you go, see? So basically nothing has changed, which means that our line works. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to modify it by modifying the contents of this vector 3, right? Instead of this vector 3 being the position, right? The position of the placement indicator object that is inside of our Raycast Manager script, right? Instead, what I'm gonna do is, let's see what, okay, hold on, I'm thinking. So in a grid, ideally, like obviously the way I drew it here, they're not all the same size, right? Like this here is not the same size, Jesus, as this, right? But that's fine because it's just a visual representation, right? But ideally we want the different tiles in our grid to be identical in terms of size, right? So now the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna take this here, the placement area, we're gonna put it at 0, 0, 0. And instead of, so it's one in terms of height. Okay, so it's 1 in terms of height, and then we're gonna do it 1, 1, 1. No, exactly, that's a bit too, okay. So let's do it, let's say 1.25, 1.25, that should be good enough, right? 1.25. So now, if I were to press play, see, so now it can kind of contain one of our towers, but technically if I really, there you go. See, I can have like multiple, I can have multiple towers. Can I get a fourth one? Yeah, there you there you go, right? Amazing. All right, so now what we need for our grid to work, right, is for a single tower, or let's say not a single tower, right, but basically we want things to snap to the grid, right? And so we want, because like for instance some towers, hold on, where's paint? So some towers might occupy like, oh fuck, hold on. Some towers might occupy like 4 tiles, right? Some towers might occupy 1, then let's say the neighboring tower occupies 4, then maybe here we can have one that occupies 2 like this, etc., right? And then they each need to have like their adjacency bonuses, right? Stuff like that, right? There you go, adjacency bonuses, etc., right? So there you go. So what I'm gonna do, the way I'm going to make this snap, right? Let's hold on. Is by simply using, like modifying this, right? So as we said, first we created the proportions of what a single tile is going to look like, right? It's 1 in, hold on. Yeah, so it's 1 in height and 1.25 in terms of width and length, right? So that means it's going to be 125 divided by 2. Well, fuck. I might as well make it 1.5 because it's just going to be easier that way. Okay. So basically, it's 1.5 in terms of width and length, and it's 1 in terms of height, right? Although we only see half of the height in here, right? So what I'm gonna do is, because it's 1 in height, and because, if I remember correctly, where are my towers? Well, the tower placement is the same size as the towers, but I'm still just gonna double check. 1 by 1 by 1, 1 by 1 by 1. Yeah, okay, so all of our towers are 1 by 1 by 1, okay? So what I'm gonna do here is, wait, go back to, was it please? Oh, no, I don't need to select anything for now. Okay, hold on. What I'm gonna do is here, because this is 1 in height, I'm going to go here into the tower placement position vector 3, right? And instead of just copying the transform of the placement object here, I'm only going to modify the y, right? So this is why I created a vector 3, right? To modify the y, the y coordinate, basically, right? So we're going to do +2, not +1, but +2. Why? Because our tower has 1 in height, and the or no, actually it has to be plus. So if it's here, if it's at 0, if it's +1, it's gonna go by 1, right? Well, hold on, actually, let's just do this. Okay, no, so it's just +1. Okay, I'm stupid. No, because I'm too used to dealing with what's it called, with spheres. If this was a sphere, I would have to do +2, but because it's a cube, I only have to do +1. I've spent way too much time working with spheres and not with what's it called, with cubes. But you know what? Just in case, let's pretend that some of our towers are taller than 1 unit, right? So just for future, if we might feel like changing it, right? Here we're just gonna create a public integer, and we're gonna call it this tower height equals -1. There you go, right? And now down here we're just gonna do plus tower height. There you go. So then if we go back here, we're just gonna modify all 4 of our towers. They're all gonna be the same size for now, in terms of height, to be, whoops, no, not this, to be, where is it? Tower manager, this, what? Hold on. Public integer this tower height. Oh, for fuck's sake. Hold on. actually. Okay. Okay, so because we're using the player manager tower defense to place tower objects, right? But we don't. Yeah, okay, so this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to go into the tower manager. Hold on. Public in this tower height. We're going to go into the tower manager. We're going to go up here. Tower detection variables, blah, blah, blah. Like that. Header. Core tower variables. And then here public. Oh, well, wait. I'm just going to copy paste this tower height. There you go. Used by player manager to update current tower placement. Okay, this tower this tower height here. Then we're gonna go back to the player manager. We're gonna just modify the name of this to be current. Fuck's sake. What the the fuck? Okay. Okay, what the fuck? Alright. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck happened there, but whatever. Okay, just Visual Studio being weird. Okay, so public integer current tower height, right? And what we're gonna do is simply here where we modify the current tower placement or whatever, right? What I'm gonna do is, okay, if loop index is the same as current tower ID, what we're gonna do is private tower manager current tower manager script, okay, like that. And then here we're just gonna do current tower manager script equals prefab, so players towers prefabs list current tower ID dot get component tower manager, right? By the way, like if you guys are having difficulty keeping up, let me know, right? Obviously, like if you have any questions, Visual Studio doesn't feature programmer choice. What do you mean by programmer choice? I'm not sure what that means. Hold on. Okay, so current tower manager, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to do tower height. Current tower height equals tower manager dot this tower height. There you go. So just to recap the logic that I made, right? All of my tower manager scripts, as in player choice. Visual Studio doesn't feature programmer choice, as in player choice. I think I understand what you mean, but I'm not 100% sure I do. But are you talking about like how to configure Visual Studio, or am I just being a little too autistic right now? Okay, hold on. All right. So yeah, so as I was saying, basically all of our tower manager scripts, which means basically all of our towers are going to have this variable here, which is the tower height, which we're gonna have to set up manually. That's why I put -1 as its default value, right? And then when we go into the player manager, it's going to have a current tower height variable, which gets updated with the current tower, right? So here, the moment we've discovered because our players towers placement prefabs list has the same indexes, like its indexes are manually set up by us, right, the developers, to be the same as the actual tower prefabs list, right? Which means that the placement object that represents so the placement object that represents tower 0 is going to be at index 0 of the tower's placement prefabs list, right? It means that we can safely use the same variable, the current tower ID, the current tower index, to interact simultaneously with both of these lists, right? With the placement prefabs list and with the towers prefabs list, right? And so we go into the towers prefabs list, we get the tower manager component, and we assign it to our current tower manager script. And then from it, now that we have a direct reference to this script, to the script of the current tower we want to place, right? We extract the tower height and we give it to our current tower height. We give it to our current tower height variable inside of our player TD manager, right? And then we simply change the position, right, of this to be the same as this. Or wait, no, okay, hold on. This is the thing. This isn't done, actually. This isn't done. So I was right to add the tower height, but I forgot to do something that's very important, right? Here, we're going to replace, so right now we're using our reference to the raycast manager script, right? To access the placement indicator object and to move our tower to the placement of the, to the same position as the placement indicator object, right? But the problem with that is that the placement indicator object moves based on where our raycast is pointing, right? Instead, we want it to move to the center of each grid tile, but be like 1 unit above, or rather the current tower height. Oh no, wait. Oh my god, all of this was useless. Jesus, I just realized. I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. Okay. So let me rephrase. You guys must be so fucking confused right now. Okay, so let me rephrase everything, right? So as I was saying, okay, here, basically the initial code was we move our current placement object based on the raycast, based on the placement indicator object, which we access through our reference to the raycast manager script, right? Now we want things to snap to the tiles, but we also don't want the tower object to be inside of the tile, right? So we move it, we offset it up using the current tower height. Now the thing is that for the tower height, the way I'm going to have to set it up, right, is going to be to take into account not only the size of the tower, but also the tile beneath it, right? So the tile is has a height of it has a height of 1, right? Hold on. It has a height of 1, but as we can see, hold on, if I do it like this, right? Only half of it is sticking above the ground. That's just because that's how we designed it, right? Like only, because basically this here is 1.5, this here is 1, right? So out of this 1 unit, here I hope you can see my mouse, right? Out of this 1 unit of height, only half of it is sticking above the ground, right? And then our tower, if our tower is also like 1 by 1 by 1 or whatever, we just boost it by the tower height, which is 1, right? Let's just modify all of our tower prefabs, okay? Let's modify this tower height to 1. Okay, there you go, right? Now it's modified. So now if we increase it by tower height, it's fine, right? But what if our tower height, like the tower object itself is, let's say 2.5, right? Let's say the red one is going to be 2.5, right? Well, then in that case, our tower height is 2.5, right? Oh, not 25, 2.5, right? What the fuck? Oh, fuck, because it's an integer. Oh, fuck's sake. I'm so stupid. Hold on. Rename, no, not rename. I'm stupid. Float 0.0f. Current tower height f. Then let's go into our tower manager. Let's also change this to float. There we go. This tower height f. What the? There we go. Okay, so player manager tower defense. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now let's go back here. Let's change it to 2.5. And we can see it now. Oh, Jesus. All right, so we said 2.5, right? 2.5. Are these all -1 again? Okay, let's change it to 1. Okay, perfect. Okay, 2.5. Well, I'm gonna let it like this, and we'll see the end result, right? I'm 99% sure it's gonna create visual problems, but anyways, that's besides the point, right? So as I said, the idea is here we increase it, we offset, basically we offset the position of our placement object by the height of the tower, right? So far so good, right? Fairly straightforward and easy, right? The problem that I completely forgot, right, is that we want it to snap to the tile. We don't want it to snap to the placement indicator, right? So let's just go back to our raycast manager. And here we have our current placement area, which is basically our current tile object, right? And so what we're going to do here is, since we set it up right before moving the placement indicator, right, we can see that basically we're setting it up in our raycast manager. So then if I go into the player manager tower defense script, I'm going to replace the placement indicator with placement area object, right? There you go. Current placement, there you go. Okay, so now it should snap. Hold on. Okay, let's press play. See, now it's snapping. There you go. Hold on. Oh, is it snapping anywhere? Oh yeah. Okay, so it is snapping, but we can't see it because this is too high up. Same with this. Here we can see it again, right? And as you can see here, it's snapping at the very center, right? Because this one is really big. Now it's gonna give us a game over soon. So I'm gonna stop, okay? But this is how it works, right? So let me just, oh fuck. No, don't open the fucking project. Jesus, there you go. All right. So now let's go back to this here, right? Scale 2.5, like that. Okay, so why did it not update? Hold on. Let me see something. Why did it not update the visuals for our actual... Okay, there you go. Jesus. Wow, amazing. Okay. So let's just open this up. Okay, so 1, we're gonna keep it 1, 1, 1. And then this here, Okay, yeah. Fuck's sake. Okay, let's just remove this. Let's increase this by 2.5, right? So you see how tall it is now, right? Okay. Not save as, just save regular. Let's go back into our scene and let's test a few things out now. Okay. So now, so do you see? Hold on. Let's press pause here, right? So do you see what happens? We spawn this. Oh, hold on. Actually, let me just see how we spawn it. Placement, current place, placement indicator. Okay, no. So we need to change this. We need to change this to, hold on, to this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, hold on. So let's actually, like that. That, and now let's just copy paste this line here. Come on. Okay, there. Fuck's sake. Come on. There you go. Okay. Now let's do this. Like that. We're just changing this. Actually, let's make this line more readable. Rotation. Let's make it easier to read. Like that. There you go. Okay. So now what we're going to be doing is that we are going to be spawning. Hold on, let's reset. Let's save. Show you how to do this. Okay, hold on. There you go. Okay, so now let's press pause. So you see what happens? It's not. So here the tower height is 2.5. Here the visual model's height is 2.5. We put this tower height at 2.5, right? And like it's causing us a problem basically, right? Because the 2.5 height is all of this, right? But basically this thing here, its size is 1.5. So hold on. Let's just unpause, right? Okay, there you go. Pause again. Okay, because this is going to be our normal tile. Well, see, here the size is even bigger, right? The size difference is even bigger because here we have a 0.5 height plus a 2. Like, so you need an offset instead of a tower height variable. Well, no, what I'm saying is the tower height variable needs to not be set to be equal to the height of the tower, right? It needs to be a smaller number, right? In order for things to work out. Basically, it needs to be half. So like my instincts were correct, basically, right? So now let's see. Let's just go here and change this to 1.25 instead of 2.5. Don't you have to have it? Oh, exactly. So my instincts were correct, right? So let's do here. Boom, right? Let's pause. So you see, now it's better, right? But once again, we're missing like basically a certain part of the tower is basically inside of the tile, right? And obviously we don't want that, right? And now this is 1.25. So probably, let's see if we do 1.5, if it's going to be better, right? 1.5. Boom, boom, boom. Or should it be 1.75? Okay. Yeah, okay, so it's 1.75. Okay. There you go, right? So 1.75. There we go, there we go. There you go. There you go. So the idea basically is that the tower height variable, whatever it is, whatever its value is, right, needs to be based off of the proportions of the tile, right? So now because the tile is 1 in height, right? This means we start at 0, right? And then this thing is 2.5 in total height, but its center is 1.25, right? Its center is at half of it, right? Its center is not at 2.5. Its center is at the center. Its center is at the center. Fucking mind blowing, but I mean that's what it is, right? So its center is right here, right? Which means that it's the height between the bottom of the tower object, right? Again, here it's like a rectangle, but the point remains, right? The distance between the very bottom of the tower and its center is half of its height, which is 1.25, right? But then we also add half, the half of the height of the grid that's poking out from the ground. Would it have something to do with calculating the height of the tower with the ball as well? Since this, well, no. The prefab, not the prefab, but the child has no effect on it because. But this is a good question, right? I was thinking that as well. Does height include the projectile? Nope, exactly. So let me show you. So this is why I disabled the projectile just because it looked weird, right? So let's go into the prefab here, right? If I were to turn this on, okay. Well, okay, here its proportions are 0, 0, 0, right? And then this thing's proportions are 2.5, etc., etc. Ideally, you would want to keep the, what's it called? The parent object's proportions to 1, 1, 1, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to create an empty object, call it tower red, okay? Rename this to tower body. The prefab file name must match the prefab root game object name. Do you want to rename the, well, okay, you know what? Fuck you. Okay. We're gonna erase this. Okay, hold on. Let me show you. Here in the scene. Okay, we're gonna do this. Height 1.25. Okay. So right now, have this selected, tower red, the projectile, let's say 1. Okay, there you go. Okay, so look, the proportions, basically everything, the transform of a game object is based, it's relative to its parent object's transform, right? So this is why you always want the parent to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? Because look what happens. Technically, the proportions of the sphere here are 1, 1, 1, right? But it's 1, 1, 1 relative to the parent object, which means that it's 1 times 1, 1 times 2.5, 1 times 1, right? So in other words, let's do the math here. if I were to do 2.5 or 1 divided by 2.5, 0 0.4. 0 0.4. So if I were to put this at 0 0.4, hold on, and then 1. See, now it's a sphere. But even then, because the whole transform, not just the scale, but the whole transform is relative to the parent's transform, because its height is 1.25, we do 1.25 times 2.5, right? So 1.25, hold on, 1.25 times hold on, times 1.5 times 2.5. There you go. So okay, so here this sphere's height is 1.5 relative to this, but this thing's height is already 1.25, and it's all being offset by the fact that it's the scale on the y-axis is 2.5 instead of 1, right? So what we do is we do 1.25 times 2.5 times 1.5, which gives me 4.6875, right? So now, if I were to simply drag and drop the projectile visual outside of the tower and make it its own object, meaning that it will stop being a child object, right? If I were to do this, okay, well, here it's giving me an error because I need to modify the prefab. Now here, right? You see what happens? Now its height is like 5. Its position is all weird and shit, right? Like, you see what I mean? It's just weird, basically. So this is why the way you want to do things, right? Now, for the prototype of the tower defense, I did things really quickly, but now if I were to make this more legit, right? What I would do is I would spawn each and every tower, okay? So let's just move this like that. Let's move this like that, right? And now what I would do is, not this. Let's say UI parent object. Or, no, I'd rather not. Okay, cube. There you go. Perfect. Let's move this like that. Okay. Let's do 1 by 1 by 1. Okay, like that. Okay. Let's create an empty object. Let's erase this. Let's create this and call it tower blue parent. Okay, so now let's move it like that. Let's move it to 10 minus 10. Okay, so let me just show you what I'm gonna do here. So now I'm going to create a cube entity, or actually I'm just gonna copy paste this here like that. Okay, projectile visual. God, this is so fucking annoying. Okay, move out, you fucking bitch. Okay, I'm gonna have to do things the slow way, which is fucking frustrating. Okay. It's a trigger, rigid body, do not use gravity, and then I'm just going to move this like that. There you go, and then tower body, and then create 3D sphere, projectile visual. Okay, there you go. Let's save. Okay, save project. Now this, it's 1.5, I think, right? Okay, there you go. Amazing. 1.5. Okay, like that. Okay, and now we're gonna go into our materials, make this blue. There you go. Amazing. It is blue. Tower parent blue. Actually, I'm going to move. Yeah. The tower body is at 0, 0, 0. This one is okay. Yeah. So I'm going to move all of these. What? Fuck's sake. Okay. Copy component. Add a rigid body. Remove the gravity. Box collider. There you go. Make a trigger. This we're gonna remove. There you go. Sorry for all of this, but these are like best practices, right? In general, you would want to set this up correctly from the get-go, but because of in the previous prototypes, I was doing it really quickly, right? And it didn't really matter. Like I did it using the actual cube as the parent, right? But ideally, what you would want is for the what's it called? The for the first parent, right? Like the core game object that all the others are children of. It should be an empty object that only contains the core scripts and the core logic and everything important, right? And then the children are more so there for visuals, right? That's generally how you want to do it. So now I'm showing you how to properly, generally speaking, right? And it's a very basic example, but it's how to properly set up a like a proper prefab with like setting up a proper hierarchy for the parent and their children, basically. And yeah, the scale of the parent should always be 1, 1, 1, because otherwise it fucks up everything else. The rotation, the position, and the scale gets offset. It gets multiplied basically by the scale of the parent, and you don't want that because it just ends up creating problems. Okay, so now we moved this. Okay, tower blue parent. Now let's make a few variants. This one is going to be tower yellow parent. This one here is going to be tower green parent. And this one here is going to be tower red parent. And so we're going to take red material, we're going to change it here. Here, we're going to go green material, we're going to change it here and here. And then we're going to go yellow material and we're going to change it like that, right? So there you go. We're going to move the green one away. Oh, misspelled yarrow. Okay, there you go. So now let's start messing around with these, right? Now here for the red one, we said 2.5, right? Let's say 2.5 in terms of height. And then this one is going to be 3, no, not 3, but 2. There you go. All right. Oh, wait. Tower body like that. Okay. 2.5. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, so now we're gonna go here in our prefabs, TD prefabs. Let's remove these for, yes, delete. that. Delete. Delete. Okay. Ah, fuck. I shouldn't have done that. Oh, I'm stupid. All right. I forgot to copy paste the scripts. Oh, well, no, actually, they already are. Okay, now I just need to change. So this projectile visual object is going to be, hold on. This projectile visual object is going to be projectile visual. Red, this projectile visual is going to be okay. Okay. Like that. Current target, blah, 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 etc., etc. Okay, everything else should be fine. Tower projectile should be yellow. Tower projectile should be green. Tower projectile should be red. Okay, there you go. Now let's select all 4 of our towers. Click here, override, apply all. Perfect. Okay. So now, oh fuck, and the red one's collision box. Actually, hold on. These ones here, we're gonna remove. There you go. Again, you have to make sure to fix everything. Okay, and now tower red. Box collider. The body is 2.5. So let's say size. Okay, perfect. There you go. Okay. I think at the moment it spawns each tower has to be offset up by 1 plus tower height by half. Exactly. But it's hard for me to tell how it would be in code. Well, that's the thing. The way I do it, this should work for every tower regardless of its height. Exactly. And so this is the thing, right? It's 1 plus the tower height divided by half, right? Which you can either set up tower height here manually, right? So in the case of this one, it would be 1.25, right? Yes, okay, 1.25. Hold on, let me just set everything up here. So red tower, blue tower, green tower, yellow tower, okay. There you go. And yeah, you're right. So let's go into the script, our tower defense manager, right? And let's say here what we're gonna do is we're gonna do plus 1 plus tower height divided by 2. There you go. That's exactly it, right? That's basically the final formula, right? So let's just wait for this to be done like that. Okay. Okay, there you go. Like that. Boom, 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 boom. Player manager. Let's go into all of my spawners, and for now, make it so that a wave timer is going to be 1000 seconds. There you go. Just for us, actually, no. Let's make it back to 10 seconds. Fuck it. Okay, let's see. So now everything in theory should be working properly. Oh boy. Tower height divided by 2. Okay, hold on. So obviously, so this one here, if I were to click on this one here, it would be tower height is 1. Okay, yeah. So it would be, well, no, exactly, because here, no. It's plus 0.5. That's the thing. That's 0.5 F. Okay, there you go. That's the fix. No, exactly. Yeah. So okay, so let's rephrase it. Let's re-explain everything, right? When the raycast detects a placement area, which is like a grid tile, it automatically, the placement tower object automatically snaps to the current placement area object's position, except for its height, for its position on the y-axis, which is offset by 0.5, which is the half of the placement area that is sticking out of the ground, plus the tower height divided by 2, right? And at that point, everything should be working. There you go. Done. So you see, there you go. Yeah, and this one, what did I put the tower height as? 1, exactly. So that's why it's causing us problems with the red one, you know? Okay. Now, if I remember correctly, the reason why my projectiles look massive, okay, is because I made my tower visuals too big. Way too big. I think the projectile is 1, right? Oh no, wait. No. I didn't make them too big. What? Ah, fuck's sake. So many stupid problems. Okay, there you go. It's because it needs to start at 0, 0, 0. There you go. There you go. Voila. Oops. Override, apply all. Bada bim. Bada boom. And the tower here is 1.25 in terms of height. No, it's 2.5 in terms of height. Oops. Apply all. There you go. 2.5, because then we divide it by half. We divide it by 2, which gives us half of it. There you go. Now it should work. Okay, now it should all be fine. And again, assuming all of this is fine. No. See? Well, this one is still fucking up, actually, because we increased it by half. Hold on. Current tower height, yeah, it's equal to current tower manager, yeah. Okay, so let's see in the player, what's our current tower height? Hello? Where is the current tower height? 2.5, yeah, divided by 2 is 1.25, plus 0.5 is 1.75, right? So then why is this? So why is this thing's height only 0.5? Huh? Hold on. Position. Okay, and this thing's position. Yeah. What? Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. Okay. I changed nothing to the code and now it works. All right. Uh, I think that there might be some sort of bug. Let me just test it out again. All right. Let me just test it out again. Yeah. Ah, okay, I see. So there's some sort of bug where basically if while my raycast is on a placement area, and let's say I have, as you can see here, I have like, because now the game is paused, right? As you can see here, I have the blue placement object highlighted, right? If all I do is change which tower we have selected, but I don't move my cursor, it doesn't update the position of the placement tower. Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, this is something that could probably be fixed eventually, but honestly, it's like, whatever. This is like a minor bug, right? Like, we're just doing a prototype, so it's not worth wasting time trying to fix this, right? The point is, our shit works, right? So now that this works, let's actually implement a real proper grid, and I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. So create object, placement, grid. Okay, let's do it here like that. 1, 1, 1. Placement grid, there you go. And now we're just gonna duplicate by doing 3 like that. Okay, hold on. There you go. Like that. Okay. 3, 4.5. Again, this is like the really lazy way of doing it, but I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do it this way. Right? Actually, let's... Yeah, that's enough. So let's... -3. Oh, for fuck's sake, I'm so stupid. I'm such a fucking moron. Hold on. There you go. 1.5. 3. I was changing the scale instead of changing the position. Like a fucking dumbass. Wait, what? Okay, like that. -3. Like, obviously, eventually, because the dimensions of each grid tile don't change, it would be easy to eventually create a script that would automatically populate an area, right? But at the same time, if you're trying to design a very specific level with specific grids, right? Like right now, I'm just gonna make like a square grid, but the idea would eventually be to have like, I don't know, like a grid in like in a Z pattern, right? Like a Z pattern grid, or maybe a U pattern grid, or maybe even a diagonal grid, right? Like, let's pretend that this is like that, right? Who knows, or like, oh, fuck's sake. Maybe something like that, right? Beautiful art, I know, but like, you know what I mean, right? Okay. go. Okay, so now we're at -3. Now we're at -4.5. Now we're at -6. Now I'm gonna select all of these. I'm gonna duplicate again, which is Control D. Right, you hold Control D. Then here it's gonna be 1.5. There you go. 3. 4.5. Ah, fuck's sake. 6. And then we're gonna add it to the other side as well, which is going to be -1.5. Now let's just verify. Yep. -3. 4.5. -6. I know this is riveting stuff, but it's all for the sake of getting this working. -10. Oops. Let's move these to -50. -20. There you go. And now let's move this to -10. And this one to 0. Okay, perfect. All right, let's do this like that. Let's close our... And now let's see. Steam up with some yogurt. I thought you were going to instantiate the tile multiple times to produce the grid. Well, I could do that if I wanted the whole map to be covered by my grid, right? But let's just say here, right? Let's say I want, I don't know, like an opening in my grid. Let's pretend, right? Boom. You see what I mean? There you go. See, so now I have an opening. So now, if I were to unpause, right? See? Boom, boom, boom. There you go. See? Right? So for instance, if I wanted to create a procedurally generated grid, I could just do a script that would instantiate however many grid tiles I want, right? Like right now we have 90 tiles, but eventually it would be way more than that, right? It would be like in the hundreds because of how small they are, right? And the idea basically would be that, let's say, you would kind of create another type of script that would like then procedurally remove some of them in a way that creates a path, right? That's way more complicated, and it's not something I'm gonna show just because it's actually genuinely complicated, and it would probably take me quite some time to come up with a proper script to do this stuff, right? But needless to say, it is doable, right? In my instance, in my case, I just created something really basic, really simple, just for fun, right? Just to show you like the real basics. And let's be honest, if I wanted to, I could have just have prepared everything in like half an hour, probably even less than that, right? Before the stream and just shown you the code and everything. But I kind of wanted to go through it live with all of you without proper preparation, just to precisely to show you the whole thought process, right? Like the trial and error and all the small little mistakes and everything, right? That's how I prefer doing these streams, just because it's I think it's better for people to see the the most common problems get solved in real time, so that way you don't get frustrated having weird problems with some really basic stuff, right? Because just to give you an example, I think the first ever prototype I did in Unity, one of my friends was like, okay, here, like he gave me like an assignment, almost as if it was a school project, right? He was like, okay, do A, B, C, and D. I want like this, and that mechanic in your game, blah, 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 right? And I ended up creating something, and I had like a bunch of weird bugs where like my objects wouldn't be rotating properly and everything. And I was like, well, what the fuck? My code makes sense. And it's because the parents weren't set up properly. My parents were all like distorted and whatnot, right? And it caused a bunch of problems. So, you know. Oh, okay. So now, first I'm going to show you how you can make sure to have different types of towers, right? So here, let's say the blue tower is going to be the normal one. The red one is the tall one. The yellow one is going to be the fat one. Okay, so let's, oh fuck, hold on. There we go, like that, right? So this one is going to be 2 by 2. So now let's just by changing this, right? And also changing this to be 2 by 2. Okay. Let's see. Oh, fuck's sake. Apply all. Okay, hold on. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here's another thing. And hold on, let me just no. Where's my grid? The fuck? Ah, placement grid. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's save quickly. I know this is out of the current stream's theme, but will you show us in the future how to produce a small map generator? Something similar to a script to generate a grid with set variations. I probably could. I'm thinking right now of how I would do it and like whether or not it would be time consuming. Because my problem is that because I also have to work on my game, I can't how can I say, I can't spend too much time preparing these like tutorials and stuff just because it's, how can I say it, it ends up taking too much time away from my game's development, right? But let me think. In order, so okay, so I'm just gonna let you know right now. Okay, the general logic. Okay, the general logic of how to create a grid. In the sense of how to create a script that's going to procedurally or like let's say automatically spawn the different grids, grid tiles at the proper positions, right? It's to basically say, let's say you have like a position, like this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? These are the indexes of your different grid tiles, right? And like, if you want, you can, the moment you instantiate one, you can add it to the list of grid tiles or something like that, right? But the idea is you create a for loop based on however many tiles you want, right? Well, actually, should I do it live? Fuck it. Hold on. Scripts. Fuck it. Grid. Builder. Okay, fuck it. Let's go. I'm gonna try to do it quickly. What this means, however, is that we probably won't have time for grid adjacency, but I guess I can do that tomorrow. Whatever. Okay, so variables for okay, variables. What do I need? I need the grid itself. So variables for interacting with other scripts. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna need this one or not, but I'm still putting it anyway.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
Okay, core grid builder variables. Public game object, grid tile object. This is the prefab or grid tile prefab. This is the prefab used to spawn grid tiles. Public int number of tiles to spawn. There you go. And now fuck. I need a list. Okay, there you go. Gracias. Muy bien. Hold on. All right. Do you like my Spanish, Red Herring? Okay, where's the grid builder? Hey, gracias, là. Como estás? That's how a lot of Quebecers speak Spanish. Hold on. I could have sworn I did a copy paste. Control C, Control V. Okay, bitch. Okay, there you go. Goddamn. Public list game object. Grid tiles list. Grid tiles objects list equals new. Voila. Index equals tile ID. List element equals tile object. There you go. Like that. And now at the void start, because we only want this to happen once, right? What we're going to do is you know what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna do it as follows. So spawn as many grid tiles as needed based on the relevant variable. Okay. So we're gonna do a for loop int loop index 0 equals 0, while this is number of tiles to spawn, and then we increment it by 1, right? Tienes un acento notable pero simpático. Gracias. Okay, hold on. So, yeah. So the first one we're gonna do here. Hold on. It's gonna be, okay. vector 3 previous, so previous hold on. There's a variety of ways I could do this. Okay, so let me just kind of explain to you what I'm gonna do. Okay, so we have, let's say we want to create this grid here, only a total of 8 grid tiles, right? Very simple, very basic, right? Sorry. So the idea is we spawn the first one here, right? We spawn the first one here, okay? Like that, right? And then we move on to number 2, number 3, number 4. But then once we reach number 4, we have determined for some arbitrary reason that this is the end of the grid. So now we need to do this to number 5, and then number 6, 7, and 8, right? And then maybe if we continue the grid, we go up, like all the way over here, then here, etc., right? So the idea is, because we know that every single one of our tiles has the exact same dimensions, which is a height of 1, a width of 1.5, and a depth, this is ugly but whatever, a depth of also 1.5, right? We know what the offset is going to be. We know what the offset is going to be between, like, from here to here to here to here. But because imagine that we're looking at this from above, right? We're looking at this from above, so the y-axis is irrelevant. What we care about is the x and z axis, right? And so which means that we also know that the offset between these two is also the same, right? And so what I'm gonna do, right, is basically say, okay, on loop 0, spawn this here, remember this thing's position, and then on the next loop, spawn this here by using an offset of the original position, right? And then afterwards, right, we're gonna do the same thing here, right? So basically the way I'm going to do it is number of tiles to spawn, hold on, public int number of rows, public int number of columns, there we go, okay. And now what we're going to do is okay, int current row equals 0, int current column equals 0, and then here vector 3 equals so row column, so current column OG original position v3, okay. There you go. We're just going to create a vector. We're not even going to assign it a position per se, right? And this I'm going to shorten it. I'm going to abbreviate it really quickly to just OG position v3. There you go. Current column original position. Okay. So now what are we gonna do, right? Current row, hold on. Current row, current row, current column. Okay, hold on. If I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong. This is column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and this is first row, second row, right? If I remember correctly. Okay, all right. So let me just rephrase this, okay? So now actually I'm going to, because we're gonna go based off of columns, right? So first, so I'm just going to redo this. Current row. Okay. So the idea is as follows, okay? Each loop, we're going to increment the column by 1, right? So the first ever loop, column equals 0, as we've shown here, column equals 0, row also equals 0. The second loop, when we instantiate this, now we're like, well, technically, column 0, here, column 1, column 2, etc., right? And the idea is, let's say if we want to create a basic grid with only 8 tiles, once we reach at the end of the columns, we're going to reset back to column 0, but we're going to increment the row by 1, right? Of the pillars that hold up roofs, so they're vertical. That's, yeah, true. Thank you, Kratos. I mean Silver Sterling. Okay, so let me show you how this is gonna go. Okay, so if column, current column equals 0, okay, so at the start of every row, update the OG row position, okay, so hold on. So int current previous original row God, this is so poorly written the way I'm doing it. Now I know Silver Sterling is always using the word boy. Right? Bro, I swear guy, I've never met someone with a voice as deep as Silver Sterling's. It's fucking weird. But like in a good way. You know? Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. It's getting a little warm. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so the idea, basically the idea is that, let's say this thing here's position is 0, 0, 0. Then this one here, since it's 1.5, right? As we said, it's 1.5. This is going to be 1.5, 0, 0, etc., etc. And then this one here is going to be 0, 0, 1.5, 1.5, 0, 1.5, etc., right? The one above it is going to be 0, 0, 3, 1.5, 0, 3, etc. Okay? So now, hold on, let me actually, I don't think I'm actually going to need this, right? So now what I'm going to do is, if correct column equals 0, let me just remember how to instantiate shit. Okay, there you go. Wait, the tower manager, tower visuals manager, instantiate, visual object. Prefab. I think I can technically, hold on. Grid builder. Okay, I can do game object, newly spawned, or I guess newly instantiated grid tile object equals instantiate there you go. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do here is find the position of the grid tile you are about to instantiate, okay, which is going to be okay, because again, like there are so many different ways of doing this that I keep jumping around from one way to another. That's why I keep like interrupting myself and bugging out and stuff like that, right? Like if I had the webcam on, you would see me just pause and like look up in the air, like thinking about the whole thing, right? Like creating a mental model in my head. Sorry guys, okay? So there are a bunch of different ways of doing this, right? And right now, basically what I'm thinking is we just keep track of the column, right? Of, hold on, like that, right? Of the column and the row, right? And then we just multiply. So basically, hold on. So first, update which should I update the current row? Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay. Okay, hold on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do if loop index 0 equals 0, which means that if this only happens for the very first loop, I guess, or not even, actually, not even. What we're gonna do is we're gonna do hold on, vector 3 position to spawn new tile v3. Okay, so position to spawn new tile v3 equals new vector 3 1 point, so transform, so this dot game object dot transform dot x plus in parentheses 1.5f times, so this is on the x-axis, so these are the rows, times number of rows, so current column actually, okay, followed by this dot game object dot transform. Now reminder, I could remove this dot game object, but I choose to keep it dot position dot y. Okay, there you go. This dot game object dot transform dot position dot z plus in parentheses 1.5f times current row. Okay, now let's make this look. Transform does not contain a definition for x and no accessible. What? What do you mean? What? Transform does not contain a definition for x and no accessible. Bitch, what do you mean? Oh my god. Oh, dot position dot x. Jesus. I'm so stupid. All right. Okay. So basically, the idea here is that yeah. So the idea here is that we have here our temporary position to spawn new tile, right? Or hold on, let me rename this to new tile spawn position vector 3. That sounds better. So the new tile spawn position, it's a vector 3. Basically, we do an offset based on our current column times 1.5, since that is the distance between. So again, reminder, right? If this has a width of 1.5, right? 1.5, it means that this half, and that every tile is the same, has the same dimensions. This is 0.75, right? But then also that this is also 0.75. So that's why we still use 1.5, right? Because this is 1.5, right? Or actually, we're gonna keep this for now. Okay, there you go. So now that we've done this, right? What we're going to do is, okay, so now we found the position where we're gonna spawn the next tile. So now here we're gonna do game object. Fuck's sake. Game object. Oh, fuck's sake. Game object. Newly spawned tile object equals instantiate prefab grid tile prefab object. Then the position is new tile spawn position, right? And then we need a rotation, which is going to be, I guess, this dot game object dot transform dot rotation. Boom. Okay. There you go. All right, now what I'm gonna do here is, if you're currently at the end of a column, reset, oh no, hold on. So after instantiating the latest tile, increment the current column and current row for the next tile. So now what we're going to do is, if current column is lower than number of columns, okay, then we're going to do current column plus equals 1, right? We're incrementing it. Otherwise, else if current column is equal to number of columns, okay, what we're going to do is current column equals 0, and then current row plus equals 1. Okay, this we can remove. Yeah. Otherwise reset. So increment current column so long as we haven't finished the current row. Otherwise, reset current column and move on to the next row. There you go. Yeah, and I think that should be it, technically. So let's do this. Let's do this. Okay. Let's do it like that. Let's do it like that. Okay. Let's put this thing here. Let's create an empty game object called grid builder. Let's do this like that, 1, 1, like that. Okay. Actually, let me just modify this a little bit. Let me just public float grid tile dimensions x grid tiles x grid tile x grid tile dimensions f, let's say. It's going to be, there you go. Well, we're not going to need the y. Oh. There you go. So actually here, I'm going to do, there you go. That way you can change it however you want. Variables to say, yeah, exactly, the width and the depth. Yeah, exactly, right? Again, because I like making the code modular, you know? So grid builder, we're gonna assign it here. 1.5, 1.5, number of tiles to spawn. Actually, we don't even, well, hold on. How many rows? We said 2 rows, 4 columns, which is going to be a total of 8, right? or actually, yeah, hold on, I'm gonna put this at 0. And at the very start, what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to do number of tiles to spawn equals number of columns times number of rows. There you go. Now that we know how many tiles we need to spawn, we can have our for loop for each tile. Here it updates the position of the current tile, then it spawns it, then it increments the number of columns if possible. If not, we skip to the next row. There you go. So now, hold on. Let us see. Let's change the game object is at 0, 0. The play. Okay, there you go. Okay, voilà. Grid builder, grid placement area. Bada boom, bada boom. Okay. Hopefully it should work. If it does, it's gonna be near instantaneous, so. Ah, well, there you go. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. So number of rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so basically this one should have been here, and these 3 should have been one off, right? So why did that not happen? Number of columns, number of rows. Okay, but hold on. So current column. Ah, I know why. Okay, yeah. It's this. Okay, so current column is lower than this minus 1 is equal to this minus 1. There you go. Now we save. There you go. That's why. Okay. So now let's have like a really big grid, basically. Let's have a really big grid, like let's say 45, 87. Like this is gonna be a ridiculously massive grid. There you go. There's the grid. Whee! There you go. Or like, I don't know, 10 by 10 should be 100. Boom. See? There you go. So that's how you make a grid. Too much grid in MATD. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is. Oh fuck. Okay. I could start showing how to do the what do you call it? The grid adjacency mechanic, but I think I'm gonna reserve that for tomorrow, just because I don't think I can do it in 25 minutes. Hold on, what else? What else is there? So there's that. Yeah, the general idea. So the general idea behind it is kind of like what I explained, right? Which is going to be, hold on. Let me just do a brand new one. Okay, like, oh fuck. Well, actually, yeah. Okay, perfect. Like that. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's do like that. Like that. There you go. There you go. So the general idea behind it's very simple, but again, I just don't think I can do it in like 20 or 25 minutes. But the general idea is like, let's say you put a tower here, right? And again, because they're all the same proportions, right? Like this is the same proportion as this, etc., right? The idea is that similar to the grid builder that we created here, right? Similar to this, what we can do, hold on. Hold on, I just thought of something. Okay. I'm gonna explain to you the logic behind the grid adjacency, and then I'm just gonna add a little thing to my grid. What's it called? To my grid builder, basically. So just give me a second. Okay, so basically, let's say you have this, because we know that all of the grid tiles are have the same dimensions with one another, right? You just create a like a function or whatever, right? Something similar to how our towers, not the attack manager, but this, the tower detection manager, right? Similar to this, that's going to use what was it, like the magnitude to find the distance, right? And then basically any other tile within the same distance is getting added to a list called like the adjacent tiles list or whatever, right? And at that point, whenever you spawn another tower, right? Let's say another tower like that has an effect. Well, oh, it detects this tower, so now it gives it the whatever effect, right? So like it's very simple, you know. Hold on. Let's go back to the grid builder. Okay. So now let's say since we're making things procedurally, right? Let's say that we okay. So I'm trying to think because I know that the idea was like to kind of procedurally generate a certain tile, right? But to also allow a room for the what are they called, for the enemies to pass through. Now, again, I don't think I have the time for this, right? But something that we could play around with. But now, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna have time to do it in like 10 to 20 minutes. But the idea is, let's say all of this that I just did, let's rename it here to void grid builder, right? There we go. Now here we're gonna take all of this. And we're gonna put, well, not grid builder, but spawn grid tiles function. Okay. And now all of this, I'm erasing it, and I'm just doing spawn grid tiles, boom, like that, right? But okay, hold on. So I know it might be too much at this point in time, but usually tower defense stuff works on in-game resources. Would you show how to limit tower placements through code, to how much gold you have, etc.? Yeah. So what I'm thinking is tomorrow I'm probably going to show you first the tower adjacency bonuses, and then the resources stuff, right? How to have like a global resource counter that detects every time an enemy dies, the player gets X amount of resources, etc., etc. And then once we're done with all of that, I'm probably actually going to move on to the city builder, and we're just going to recycle a lot of the code, right? Of like how to produce resources, how to build things, right? Whether on a grid or not, right? How to have kind of like what Red Herring said in one of his comments on last weekend streams. He was like, would it be possible to have like a script that remembers like what the population is and how everybody's like like behaving, or how much people are inside of a specific building, so on and so forth, right? Hold on. And yeah, I'm pretty much done game sense, so I can hop on a call if you want. I don't mind. Feel free to call me. Okay. Now I wait. You're welcome, Zeno. I hope again that this was oh my god, what's the word? Bro, I don't know what happens. Like, it's so weird. Like, all week I'm sleep deprived. It comes the weekend, I actually sleep like a normal person, and then my brain stops working. It's fucking weird, man. I don't get it. One of us. Are you gonna call me or not, Game Sense? It's the yogurt, Randy. The yogurt. I did not eat any yogurt today or this week, actually. Yeah. I ate a bunch of pizzas though. That was fun. Oh la la. Oh. Oh, okay. Hold on. All right. I'm gonna join the call with Game Sense and Retro Man. All right. Oh.
What's up, man?
Yeah,
Yo,
I
yo, yo.
created a. Yeah, no, I created. Yeah, Randy's here, so let me know if you guys can hear everyone like
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I can hear you.
So, yeah, no, what I wanted to talk to you guys about, like especially Randy and Retro, since all of us here are game devs, right? Hydra asked me, like, Hydra didn't ask a question, but said in like last night during Kane's stream that, oh, GameSense says he's a game dev, but still hasn't made a game yet himself, right? So, for that statement, kind of pissed me off, is because you guys want to explain how making a game how hard it is?
I mean, in my video, I said that for a dev, usually to make a game, it's like 4 years, including
Mm,
like single indies.
yeah.
I have
Yeah,
never made a game solo because I'm not actually indie.
And you're
yeah.
not
What about
crazy.
yeah? What about you, Randy? How long have been were you working on your game?
On my game, I've been working. Hold on, hold on. Actually, what I'm about to do is gonna have a link with this because again, like I'm still streaming, so people can see on my screen. Okay, Silk Song reveal trailer. Okay, when was it? That was 6 years ago. Which date was it? It was like in
No, Hydra.
February
Look,
of 2019,
I don't
right?
I don't mean to call you out. I'm like we don't know the intent of what you're saying. If even if it's a joke, right?
No, no, no,
Like
but
if
it's not. It's
everyone
not a
knows,
joke. So hear me out, right?
no, no, no,
So
I don't know. No, I'm just like sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but
yeah,
I'm gonna quickly explain to him why I'm talking about this, right?
yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
when someone asks, "Oh, you haven't made your own game," I mean, I can ask the question to everyone else, like, "What has they done?" Like YouTubers with million subs, right? Who do reviews. What have they done to critique shit?
Mm-hmm,
So I
mm-hmm,
understand what you're saying, but this is more so like it doesn't matter. Like I have done QA for multiple games, which are like games like fucking Avengers, even Outriders and such. I worked on smaller indie titles, like small starter projects, which are like lost funding, been laid off and all that.
mm-hmm.
So not like making a game, like I yeah, if I even start now, it's gonna take me 5 years to make it like playable, like into a vertical slice, like even a decent competent game. So asking people like in the sense that, oh, what have you made, that like that's not a really like fair question. Oh,
I
I can only
agree. I
talk
agree.
about this stuff that
Hold on. Let me
even if it's
just.
a joke, Hydra. I'm just one saying you don't know the intent when you're talking to people on stream, and that's what I'm trying to explain. It's as easy to like just say something like it's annoying when like people keep like even Kane keeps bringing. I'll talk to him later, but like it's like, what have you done? Like you guys know my situation. You guys know my situation. Like Randy has worked in the industry. Like Retro works in the industry. Like we all like in some capacity have done it. I know like my capacity as a dev, like, but I'm working another IT job right now just to pay bills. Like I'm stuck in a country that's not even my own. I can't work. Like I'm working like you guys think I only work 8 to 5. No, actually, when like EGAD, like they were streaming Baldur's Gate, I was in a call back because I'm on call 24/7. Whenever they call me, I have to be present to take up a meeting because I'm in a project right now. So I don't even have time to do my own shit. Would I like to? Yeah, I talked about retro with making assets and such, but it takes money. So that's why I'm like, I know you guys are regulars. That's why I'm telling you guys, because I hope you guys understand the situation everyone is in. So that's why it kind of worked me out, because Hydra, you've been here every stream. I know it's a joke, but still, you guys gotta. No, no, you didn't offend me, Hydra. I'm just saying. I'm like making it clear, right? Even when Kane asks, like, what have you done? The thing is, by that same logic, people who make reviews and critiques, what have they done? Like, what is their qualification to talk about all this stuff? That's what I'm saying. It's like you didn't offend me. I'm just like I'm making it clear. If I have the money right now, right? If I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have personal commitments, even professional commitments to a job. I would be working on my game 24/7, right? Randy would do the same. Retro would do the same. We would all would like to work on our own shit, but there's also our personal obligations to. Let me mod you, Randy, if you wanna. I
Well,
know
I'm already
the
a
other.
mod. I'm already a mod. This is
I
my.
mean, you can have this channel. Yeah, you can have this channel if you want to like link it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
You
okay, okay. Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
uh like This is Randy's professional channel, so like he does game dev stuff. You can go check it out if
Yeah.
you guys want. But that's what I'm saying. You guys got to understand, right? Like I would, if it's in my power to do so, I would 100% be pursuing making my own game. It is not like it's just like I can't do that right now. That's why I'm making videos. So and at least that way I can be entertaining for you guys. Even in my videos, you guys can say I can't force myself to talk a certain way. Like I'm like talk as much like design oriented as I can, because I'm not as like witty or like on like I can make up stuff like Kane does or Latina does or Egat or Sin. So my content is completely different, right? So that's the thing. Like you guys got to understand, man. Like I like you guys. You guys are regulars here. You show up, like, and I respect that and all that. But in the question of, oh, what have you done? That's what like pisses me off. Oh, I've been kicked for idling shit. So I
But
mean,
yeah, to add a bit to what like Game Sense was saying, uh, so Silk Song, so Hollow Knight was made by two people. We don't count the guy that did the music because I mean that doesn't really count, right? Like we're talking about like game devs that do the coding and the visuals and all that stuff, right? It was made by two people. It took them like 4 or 5 years to make Hollow Knight, and they had to cut a shit ton of content from the game, right? And they announced Silk Song in February 2019. About 6 months after that, I started working on my game. So it's been like about 6 years. In autumn, so in September of this year, it's gonna be 6 years since I've been working on like everything. Now, granted, the first year was just me learning how to code, how to do 3D modeling, stuff like that. The second year was me prototyping ideas. So the game I'm currently working on right now, I've technically only been working on it for like almost 4 years. But the point remains that as a solo developer, I've basically been working on this game idea and this game project for half a decade, right? And what this means, right, is that initially, the first 2.5 to 3 years, I had to work like full time, have like a real normal job, like full time work, and I could only work. Basically, I wake up in the morning, I go to work, I come home, I do all my chores as quickly as possible. Like I make food, I cook, I do whatever, whatever, and then like by this point in time, it's like 8 or 9 at night, and I work on my game until like midnight. Then I go to bed and like wake up in the morning, rinse and repeat, and then I spend my whole weekends working on my game basically. So eventually, I realized that if I kept doing it this way, I wouldn't be done with my game even if it took me 10 years to make it, right? Because it's just like I barely have any time, right? So eventually I had to quit my career, my full time job, get a part time job so that I can work full time on my game, right? And the point of all of this to say, and like I understand why Game Sense gets frustrated, because like I also like my own parents, they used to, now they stopped because they kind of understood like what I'm doing, right? But back in the day when they didn't really understand how you make video games and stuff, they kept saying like, so where are you at? Like, and I'm like, well, I'm progressing. They're like, yeah, but well, there are no results, right? And it's like, well, it's not that simple, right? Like when you're making a game on your own, especially if you're trying to make a groundbreaking game, like not just like some shovelware or some asset flip, or like, you know what I mean, like if you're trying to make something like genuinely interesting and complex and like revolutionary, kind of, right? Like you're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but still you're trying to make something cool, right? Like
yeah, I mean,
it's
if you
trial
want
and
to,
error basically.
yeah, sorry to cut you off, Randy. If
Yeah,
you
it's
guys
fine, it's fine.
want a good example, like Pirate Software, right? He makes so much money. Like he's making a 2D game which he still hasn't finished after how many years, Randy? Like 5 years now.
Maybe more, I don't know.
Yeah, he hasn't finished him himself. Like, right? I don't have any money, dude. Whatever money I make, some to my family. Like, money is also a big part of it. Like Randy hasn't talked about that, but you got to put in a lot of money. Like
Yeah.
it's like, or else like we can buy assets off of Unreal Store or Unity page right now, make some shovelware game, slop game, like Randy says. But that's not what we want to make, right? Like I'm actually thinking on the level of some middleware game, which is like doable, but it takes at least like the scope I'm going for excess of 100K to make it like a genuinely like a good game and not a piece of shit. It takes time. It takes like fucking money. Like, you got to sacrifice a lot of stuff. Like game dev is not easy. I've seen people give up once they start like on a project. A lot of times, even
Yep.
people who study with me in like my university time, none of them are working in video games right now. Some of them are security guards. Some of them working in like drone fucking like factories and shit. Like that's what they're doing. No, Kickstarters, the thing is that if I do a Kickstarter, we are beholden to the people who, I mean, yeah, even if you cancel the project, that you're not legally liable. But the thing is, there's a risk of, like, a lot of Kickstarter projects have failed. Like, and you need to have a vertical slice done in order to like show what you're gonna have. You just can't go on Kickstarter, make a page right now, and ask for money. No one is gonna back you. I can show you multiple examples of games which have been featured, like which didn't like meet the sales goals or sorry, Kickstarter goals. So that's why like my frustration with like that's like yeah, even more so than everything else. That's what I got like really like annoyed by the question. And it's not to like focus on one person. That's not what I'm doing. I'm giving you guys, since you guys are regulars, I'm telling you guys the problems of making a game by yourself. It's not as easy as making a movie. You can take a camera right now, go like what Zack Snyder did, take a fucking Apple iPhone, go make a like a short film right now. Like, it's easy to do. If you want to do some comics, you can get people to do it. It's like video games are a medium which encompasses all of this, and it's much more harder to do because I keep talking with Retro. Retro works. Keep talking with him to make assets, but it's not as simple as that. He's working a job. He has other commitments. Like, we have to find people to
Yeah.
do a lot of shit.
I can tell you some of my story. Like I first getting into the industry is very hard. So like you can be a solo dev with shovelware and just like lose money month to month. I actually was like one of the more lucky people because it's very hard to get into the industry. Like and I risk gaining nothing from sharing my opinions. If people knew who I was, I'd be blacklisted. Full stop. And just like Randy, my parents didn't like understand my perspective until I raked in the cash. Like until I made more than my father, like the sentiments were different. Um,
Clark, we're
well,
not going to add more people to the call. Like, I'm going to
I
stop like
no,
adding
I
people and let
haven't been
people
part
keep
of the
calling
I
up.
haven't been part of the discussion. Like I'm complete outside. I'm just talking facts.
No, no, no.
When
Like,
you
Clark said he wanted to be added to the call. I'm not gonna add any more random people from streams to the call anymore. So, like, I
well,
learned my lesson. I I'm just annoyed at some things. I'm not gonna tell what all of that is, but yeah,
your
like,
channel, your rules. No, I'm fine with that. I I urge people to like here's the thing. Good neighbors set boundaries for themselves. Real talk. Okay, genuine 100% good neighbors set boundaries for themselves. Um when we talk about important stuff like economics and whatever, you have to be charitable and serious. So like here, I don't like a lot of people, but when I made my video, it was pure facts, pure data, pure economics. Like I told you my sentiments at the end, but it was very important to like stick to facts first. I did say like indie and like middleware devs, it takes them about 4 years to make a game. This isn't out of my ass. This is just the average. That's all.
no, Clark, this is not whining. This is like, if you can do it, if you're so talented, you can do it yourself. So, uh, you're not understanding what I'm trying to say. It's annoying when you get fucking like when people from outside don't understand. Like, you're just fucking starting shit for no reason.
Well, in any case, I think the point we're all kind of trying to get across is simple. It's that a video game is a marathon, not a sprint, and a lot of people, and even I myself was like that when I started, like in video game school and everything. In my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I can like whip out a level in like a night, right? Or like a week or whatever, right? And it turns out there are a lot of things that happen when you're making a game, especially as a solo developer, that you can't predict or account. Like sometimes there's gonna be a bug, like a game breaking bug that you can't predict, right? And stuff like that, right? And as Games had said, it's about money, it's about like all the logistics of doing it, etc., right? Like it's very complicated, especially as a solo developer. So I understand why he's getting frustrated, because it's like it's easy to sit on the sidelines and just make comments and be like, oh, well, where's the game? Where's this? Where's that? Whatever, right? But at the same time, I also do understand where Clark Kent is coming from, in the
No,
sense that
Clark.
it's like,
Okay, I'm gonna set something clear. This is pertaining to what's happened some like yesterday on another stream. You
Okay,
don't have
okay.
the full context of what we're talking about. This is not just about game development stuff. This is some personal shit related to the channel, and a
Okay,
couple of
okay,
people
okay.
over here. So, like, that's the thing. If this is more letting you guys know, this is like, I'm also, you guys don't need to know my personal story and all that. If you like, but you guys got to understand the problem of what's going on. Like that's the thing. So that since a lot of people are regulars here, I'm talking to them. I don't know if you ever been on this channel before, so maybe you don't know. So, but yeah, like I'm already annoyed at other stuff. Like, yeah, I'm already ticked off, so that's why I'm trying to keep calm. But yeah, anything is like ticking me off. But we're just talking about like the scope of making a game as like by one person or like a three-person team or someone with 10 like less than 10 people. It doesn't matter if you're working on your game right now. It's gonna take you. I don't know what part of the game you are. Like, are you at the concept stage? Are you in the middle of an alpha stage or a beta? I don't know, right? So I can say I'm working on a game. I can also say I'm working on a game, and it could be the concept stage. I haven't even started shit. Like I'm just like laying out a GDD. That is also working on a game right now. But I'm just telling you, we're just talking about some things that happened personally on the stream last time. But I'm letting you guys know, since you guys are regulars here, a lot of people on like in the what it means. Oh, it's easy to say someone, oh, they haven't made a game. I mean, I could also say the same thing to a lot of people who make a lot of shit on YouTube, bro. But we're just saying it because okay, our guys want to let you know on that topic because it is getting annoying. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Randy.
Well, I mean that's it. Like I mean, I kind of said what I had to say. It's just that it's it's it looks easier than it really is, right? And this is kind of part of the reason why I do the game dev streams as live streams, just to show people like here's like all you can do in like 2.5 hours, right? And so if you were to like if you look at my game dev streams, right, you can see like maybe half of my streams or more are just me fixing bugs, right? And I'm only showing like very very basic mechanics, right? So the point that I'm trying to say, I understand where you're coming from, Game Sense. It's just that regardless of what the situation is, regardless of what anybody's saying or whatever, right?
No, Zeno, I'm not fucking getting angry. I'm just tired, dude. I am tired of all this shit. Like I'm genuinely like like apathetic to a lot of shit that has been what was said like in this stream or yesterday. I'm just annoyed and I'm tired. So I'm not even fucking angry right now. That's how much like I'm like done with certain things. Like it's like you gotta understand. Like I mean, you guys don't need to know about all that stuff. That's different. But regards to what we're talking about, game and game development, yeah, Randy and Retro can talk about that.
Well, yeah. Basically, all I was gonna say is just it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's easier said than done, right? And at the end of the day, it like 99.9% of people don't, like, as fucked up as it sounds, they don't care about like how hard it was to make the game or whatever. They just care about the end product, right? So again, this is why I don't take any of this to heart, right? Like when someone is telling me something like this, right? Like, oh, where's your game? Like even some of my friends in real life are making jokes about like, yeah, you've been talking about this game for like 4 or 5 years now, right? Like, where is it? We're never gonna see it, blah blah blah, right? Me personally, I don't let that shit get to me just because it's unproductive, you know. But I understand where you're coming from because it is annoying, right? When like you're struggling and then someone who has no idea of like how difficult it is to make this is just like chipping in and talking about it as if there's some sort of like how can I say, like an overlord on their white horse, like a noble talking down to a peasant, but the noble has never worked a day in their life on in the fields, right? I understand how it feels. Like my dad is this way. Like my dad literally told me once, he was like, I have no idea how to make a video game, but I'm still gonna tell you how to make your game. Like he literally said that word for word to me, like a couple years ago, right? And I remember just like rolling my eyes, right? But at the end of the day, it's just look, it doesn't matter, right? Like I don't want to sound like a nihilist or whatever, but it's just use these things. That's what I do. I use these comments just to further motivate myself to go through the grind, because at the end of the day it's kind of like going to the gym. Sometimes it's going to rain outside, sometimes like you're going to wake up in the morning, you don't want to go to the gym, but you still have to do it, right? So it's just, yeah, you know.
Yeah, also the
Anyways,
fact that
that's my two
I'm like,
cents.
yeah, also the fact that I'm actively like, you look, while working one job, I'm looking for another
Mm-hmm.
because of like, my status and all that, Randy. So like, yeah, even if I do get a job, I'm not gonna tell anyone, like even in the channel, in my own channel, that if I could do get a job working, because
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way that you guys like don't understand. Like, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it's just like the industry is fucked right now. Like, I already got fucked over a lot, so I'm more like, jaded in that way. So I don't care to explain it anymore. If you guys know, if you have worked professionally in the industry, you guys will know what I'm talking about. But more so than that, like, I don't know what have more to explain to like people like talking about that. Oh, make your own games. That's just really really annoying to hear. Like, like, I'm not gonna say anything about it, but yeah, that's my thing on it anymore. So if it's not, like, if you're gonna criticize someone, I'm also gonna ask, what have you done? So the same thing.
But yeah, is it other people's understanding of your dev journey necessary
That
for the
doesn't work
successful
like that.
function game? Yeah.
Yeah, AI is not at like that level where you can even like, studios are looking into hell, like, a generative AI to help with the game dev process. Like, mostly what you can ask it something about coding. Maybe like you can generate code for you. That's it. That's then you will still have to go into that AI generated code, clean it up, make it work for your own script and game. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh, you just whip up a script and you just like drag it and drop it and it like everything starts working. That's not
No
how it
one to
works.
date, no one to date has made a game purely out of AI. Like you can say it had AI assets, but they still had to make the code.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
AI isn't gonna help you when you try to make like a network and like co-op for your game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's
All right. I can stay in you guys' conversation, but just for my own stream right now, I think I'm gonna end it just because I think we've kind of like gone over. Unless you wanna like, we still have certain things related to game dev to say, right? But otherwise, I
No,
think
I
I'm
mean,
gonna.
that's it, Randy. No, this is just a personal thing for the
Yeah.
channel because we'll talk about why I brought this up once I end the stream. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, in that case, on my end, to the people watching my stream, I'm gonna end it, and tomorrow we're gonna continue the grid-based mechanic that I said. We're gonna add the adjacency bonuses for the different towers, and do the resource system. All right. So on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. There you go.